how to find sellers. Okay, this is very, very important, and we're going to talk about where to find sellers and where the sellers are hiding, if you will. That was my little attempt at a viral hook to get you in so that you could take a look at it. So anyway, where to find sellers is really, really important. That is probably one of the most important skills that you are going to learn as a real estate investor. And we're going to talk about a few things. I tend to like slides just because, number one, it helps keep me organized, and I could just reference the slides really quick, and then we could talk about each of my talking points as opposed to just trying to do it off the top of my head. So that is one of the reasons that I've structured it this way, where there's the slides and then there's the video of me, as opposed to you just seeing a talking head and just rambling off, ideas off the top of my head, off the cuff. So let's start with the first slide. Number one, this is a mistake that I see a lot of new people make. Okay, so a lot of people take a look at what we're doing, and then they go on to YouTube, and they see all the people that are making money at this business, and what they do is they think that it's easy. So they think that they can come in here and they can work 30 minutes today, an hour tomorrow, then they get tired, then 3 or 4 days later they don't touch anything, then about a week later they want to come back in and they want to start working this business. And that is probably one of the biggest mistakes that anybody can make when you are getting started as a real estate investor slash wholesaler. Now I'm going to refer to us as investors throughout the entire presentation, but we're going to talk about why in a little bit. So a lot of people, when they get in here, they don't honor a schedule. Okay, so they say to themselves, well, this is something that I really want to try. I'm just going to, if it works for me, great, and if it doesn't work for me, no problem. And that's the wrong mentality that you want to have when you get involved in this business. If you're going to commit yourself to this, Say Snips, thank you. I appreciate you sending me that video. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Going back to what I was saying, you have to come up with some type of a schedule, whether it be a half hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, an hour in between, your work break, whatever it's going to be. You need to honor the time that you are going to designate to building this business, whatever it's going to be. And if you're going to do it every day, then if you're going to commit to it every day, then make sure that you commit to it every single day. It's better to do a half hour a day versus thinking that you could do nothing during the week and then on Saturday work this business for about 8 hours. I would much rather have someone who is committed to a half hour, 45 minutes every single day, as opposed to somebody who says, I can only work this business once a week. And it's because of the consistency, right? It's the consistency that someone puts in. It will directly affect their results. It will directly affect their ability to learn this business and to master this business by doing it, through repetition, even if it's in smaller chunks, right? So, I tell people all the time when they ask me if we could work together, if they could join our team, if they could be a mentor, I basically say to them, look, if you can't commit to this for at least 2 hours to 3 hours a day for the next 90 days, then I'm probably not the right person to be mentoring you or working with you, okay? That's the minimum, I think, that if you really want to see success in this business, that it's going to take. And there's no shame in saying something like that, just like there's no shame in a personal trainer giving someone a diet regimen and then telling them what they need to do during the week when they got to go to work out. At the gym, there's a reason that I don't have the six-pack abs that my wife would love for me to have, and it's because I don't follow the regimen that sometimes she tries to give me or the diet that she sometimes tries to give me. And so it's the same thing here. If you don't apply the same regimen, the same schedule to doing this, then you're not going to achieve the results that you see some of the other people that they're having, right? Because the dirty little secret is that those people that are actually achieving results in this thing, they're not putting in 30 minutes a day. They're not putting in, 45 minutes a day. They're working this for 3, 4, 5 hours a day. And some of them, this is their full-time occupation. They're working it 8 to 10 hours a day. That's just the reality of it. They treat this just like it's a job. So at a job, consider this. When you wake up in the morning, even if it's on a Monday morning, right? And the night before, let's just take last Sunday as an example. Last Sunday was the Super Bowl, right? And I am certain, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that there are people that indulged on Sunday, watched the Super Bowl, maybe partied a little too hard, and then still on Monday morning managed to wake up and get to work, be there on time, even if they might be a little hungover, even if they might be a little still tired, even if they might be struggling in the morning to get up and go do the things that they need to do. They still went to work after partying on the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday. And I share that with you because it's sad, but when it comes time to actually working and building your dreams, there's people that when they're sick, they're tired, they're hungover, they're stressed, whatever it might be, this is one of the first things that they put to the side. Okay? Their dreams. They'll put their dreams to the side, right? Because they're tired. As opposed to when you've got a job, you're more afraid of them firing you than you are of you actually, pursuing your own dreams. And I've heard, I've gone to conferences, I've gone to motivational speakers to hear them speak. And one of the first things that they say is, would you fire yourself if you had hired yourself to work on your dreams on the side? Okay, that's something to consider. So your schedule. Very, very important. Whatever hours you're going to designate to this business, whether it be a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, that time has got to be sacred. You can't be doing anything else. You can't be scrolling on the internet. You can't be, working on any outside tasks. Okay, focus on just this for whatever time you're going to dedicate to this. And there's no judging here. Nobody's going to judge you. If you say, hey, I can only do this 30 minutes a day, but for those 30 minutes, damn it, that's going to be all I do. I'm going to go all out, and during those 30 minutes, that 30 minutes that I can dedicate to this, I'm really going to focus, and I'm going to build my business on the side. And you'd be surprised how that 30 minutes, as you start to see results, slowly starts to increase to 45 minutes, slowly starts to increase to an hour, slowly starts to increase to an hour and a half. And then as you start to see results, right, as you start to see results, the progress that you're going to make, whether it be learning how to speak to sellers, learning how to speak to buyers, when you finally get a property under contract, right, a deal under contract, or when you finally sell, and more importantly, when you finally get a paycheck, it doesn't matter how big that check or that wire might be, once you finally get that's when you get that motivation to really start dedicating more time to it, and you start to honor it even more. All right, I'm just glancing at some of the comments out there. Anyway, treat it like a job. Okay, let's go to mindset. Your mindset should be this: you are an investor first. You're an investor first. I have to say that all the time. You're an investor first. You're an investor first. You're an investor first. Let that sink into your head. I see a lot of people, and I'm going to scroll to, I see a lot of people like, on LinkedIn or on their titles or on their profiles, they call themselves wholesalers. Okay. Not that you should be ashamed of that title or ashamed of what it is that you're doing or embarrassed about what it is that you're doing, but wholesaling just happens to be one of your exit strategies. I need that to sink in. Your title is not wholesaler. Your title is an investor, and it just so happens that wholesaling is one of the strategies that you use as an exit strategy, right? Okay, keep that in mind. So you're an investor first, and I'm saying that to you because I know that there's a lot of people when they first get into business, you have to maintain a certain level of personal integrity within yourself. And so when you go in there and you're talking to a seller, and in the back of your mind you're thinking to yourself, I'm just going to wholesale this, I'm just going to wholesale this, I'm just going to wholesale this, I'm just going to assign it to somebody else, you are already creating this inner dialogue within yourself that is causing you to self-doubt yourself and self-doubt what it is that you are doing, because you're not in alignment with that personal integrity, because you've been telling yourself you're a wholesaler. I'm a wholesaler. This is what I do. I wholesale. No, let's back that up. You're an investor first, and you sometimes wholesale, and you also sometimes buy and hold, and you also sometimes buy properties for Airbnb, and you also sometimes buy property using subject to mortgages, and you also get properties under contract to then hire an agent so that they could put it on the MLS for you as an innovation. These are all the different strategies that you have at your disposal as an investor that you can use once you've mastered them. But right now, you're thinking you're myopically, right, as opposed to macro, and so you're focusing so much on the wholesale that you want to give yourself that title, when really the title is investor, and you've got your whole like bat belt with all these different bat tools that you can use. That was a Batman reference, by the way. I don't feel like I hit that one home, but I think you understand what it is that I'm saying. So from now on, I need you to reaffirm to yourself that you are an investor first. Now we're going to talk about, how you're going to be able to close on these transactions, how you can say with integrity, and how you can say with confidence, well, I'm going to buy that property, or I'm going to buy and hold. There's a bunch of different ways. You're just focusing on the wholesaling aspect of this business. Okay, so you're an investor first. Second, I already talked about this. Wholesaling happens to be one of your exit strategies. So how do you get around it? Okay, the way that you can get around it is by partnering up with a JV partner who can provide you with proof of funds or with a mentor. Going back to what I said a little while ago, when you are getting started, you are going to be submitting offers, and sometimes it's going to be to on-market transactions, to on properties that are on the MLS, properties that are are represented by real estate agents, and you are going to need proof of funds, right? Not all of them, but some agents are going to ask for some type of valid proof of funds, indicating that you have the capacity, that you have the finances, that you have the wherewithal to be able to purchase this property. Okay, and so one of the things that a lot of people do is I see it on the boards, I see it in Reddit forums or subreddits, whatever you want to call it. I see people asking for proof of funds, and here's the thing, right? If you are having to ask for proof of funds, what you are already, again, telling yourself is that you don't have the money to make this purchase. And then what it does is it causes that little bit of insecurity inside of yourself, to then, and it shows, that little hint of insecurity shows when you're talking to an agent. It shows when you're talking to a seller, because in your mind you're thinking, I don't have that money to be able to make this purchase happen anyway, right? So what do you do? How do you get around that? How do you solve that? How do you get around that insecurity? You partner up with a JV partner or with a mentor. That is the cleanest, that is the easiest, that is the best way for you to be able to hold your head up high, have your chest out, and say to yourself, I'm going to be able to close on this deal no matter what, because I, number one, was able to negotiate it at a price that I know I can close at. We'll talk about that later. But number two, I have a JV partner that has the funds available, who has already approved the purchase price that we can purchase it at. They've given me their maximum allowable offer, or I have a mentor that's going to do the exact same thing. When you have someone backing you, providing you valid proof of funds, and providing you with their ability to close on that transaction, you walk and talk differently. Trust me. Okay, so for to all the people that are saying, well, I need proof of funds, and they're asking for proof of funds, and they're going and they're using all these different sites that gives them proof of funds, and they're using it. Look, just partner up with somebody else that has it and that can close, okay, and that will close on that deal. That's the best way to do it, so that you maintain that personal integrity, and so that you feel confident, and that it shows, and people can actually hear it and see it when they talk to you in person or on the phone. Okay, so somebody just asked me, how many hours do I personally put in a day? Usually I treat it like a job. I'm going to work anywhere between 6 to 8 hours a day. And I say 6 to 8 hours a day because I have children. My wife and I have 5 children, and so before coming on here live, I was at the DMV just a short while ago with my daughter as she was taking her driver's test, and I'm out there with my laptop working. So it varies. It can vary from day to day. Everybody's going to have a different schedule. Some days it's 5, some days it's 8. When it gets really crazy, maybe it's 10. It just depends. It depends. But most people who are working this business part-time are going to be putting in anywhere between an hour to 2 to 3 hours a day. Hope that answers that question. Okay. All right. Now, what is this? Okay, let's go down to the next slide. You have to, so close or die. All right, so what do I mean by that? And I know that sounds a little morbid, but close or die, funny or die, get rich or die trying. That was where I was going with this. Did it work? I don't know. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Whatever. Close or die. So what do I mean by that? That means that you negotiate so that you can get your deal at a price that you 1,000% can close on, whether it be with your own personal money, or whether it be with the money of a JV partner, or with a mentor. When you are negotiating that way, number one, it gives you permission to walk away from the deal, right? Before getting it under contract, of course, because you know what your maximum allowable offer is. You have a different sense of confidence when you're negotiating, and more importantly, you exude that confidence. People can feel that confidence when you're talking to them. When you can walk away from the negotiating table because you know what price you need to get a deal at, you just negotiate better. You can walk away from the deal, and 1,000% that you'll be able to close on a transaction. Now, this is also important when you are negotiating and you have people that talk about, I love Investor Lift. Yeah, that's a good question. I just saw that question come in. But it's not the end all. Okay, because even if you put a deal on Investor Lift and it's not a deal and it's not a sweet deal, Investor Lift is not going to sell a deal for you. There are plenty of overpriced turkeys on Investor Lifts, just FYI. Okay, so anyway, you have to get good at negotiating the right price that is going to get the deal sold. Whether you find an end buyer or not, you have to perform on it. So when you negotiate a price that 1,000% you can close on, you operate from a different vantage point. Okay, now let's talk about why I went through all of this so that we can now go into where you're going to find your sellers, and I'm going to show you, live where you can find them. All right, so number one, there's a tool that we created. If you don't have access to it, it's a spreadsheet. I've shared it before. I'm going to share it again. Look, if you want access to the spreadsheet, it's $10. Okay, you can get it. It's really, really simple. So I'm going to show you. Let's just go right now just to for sale by owners, and you're going to see me do this live. I'm going to go to, let's just say I want to work Idaho right now. So FSBO, for sale by owner. I go down to Idaho. I click it. Hopefully you can see my spreadsheet. If not, I'm going to zoom in just so that you can see what it is. All this is a spreadsheet that has every single search phrase that an investor would want. So I went to for sale by owner. I went to that column, and now I'm going to go down to Idaho, and I'm going to start looking at some of the for sale by owners that are on Idaho right now. You click it. It opens up a whole new tab for you, and it has this search. The work is already done for you. This took weeks and months to set up these filters, to set up these parameters. It just makes it much, much easier for you to find deals and opportunities a lot quicker. So in Idaho right now, for the entire state, there are 47 homes that are currently for sale by owner. These are all people that are selling the properties themselves. Boom. I've just given you all these 47 opportunities for you to go out there and call. Now, in my personal opinion, in my humble opinion, I would have them sorted by newest to oldest, and then guess what? You're going to go to the oldest. I want you to go to the oldest listing on there. Why? Because it's been sitting on the market a while, and you are going to reach out to one of the owners. Now, if I click on this, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to click on it. It's going to have a property description. It's going to have the price history. It's also going to have the seller's contact information. YouTube does not like any personal contact information being shown, and I don't really have a way to block it out while I'm streaming. So I'm going to be very careful about just, grazing over it really, really quick so that it isn't shown, so that I don't get the YouTube portion of this video taken down. But it's 270 days on Zillow. So then you've got this, you've got the photos, you've got the price. I'm going to scroll down really, really quick. You've got the property description, but here's most important. What's most important is the price history, okay? This is what I want to see. So they've been trying to sell this property since May for $429,000, and source owner is the owner. So it's been the owner trying to sell it since May of 2024, and they've been reducing the price ever so slowly. In 3 months, they reduced it 10,000, and then another 3 months, they reduced it another 10,000, or excuse me, they increased the price. I just realized that. So they reduced it, then they increased it, and now they're somewhere in the middle. This would be the type of seller that I would reach out to, and I would contact them about this property, and I would try to see if they would be willing to sell. Now, a couple things I want to point out is, again, I don't want the telephone number to show, but what do most people do? What they do is they look at the property, they look at the deal, they try to comp it out, and then they call the seller. And then they call the seller. I said this before. I'll say it again. Don't comp before you speak to the actual seller. Do not do that. It can turn into an immense time waster. And for those people that are putting in, the 30 minutes to 2 hours or 3 hours a day of doing this on the side around what they're already doing, that eats into your time. You don't want to comp a property. You don't want to comp a deal out until you have spoken to the seller or the agent. Why? Because they may have an offer in play already. They may have accepted an offer already. They may have changed their minds. There's all these different variables, and if you're spending 5 to 10 minutes, and by the way, 5 to 10 minutes is for somebody who's good, somebody who's fast, right? When you're brand new to comp a property, I remember when I was barely getting started and I had to comp properties, it could take me 30 to 35 minutes, maybe even 45 minutes to an hour to comp a property. That's way too much time. So you don't need to be doing that. What you need to be doing is making contact with people. That is what is most important. So what you'll do is you'll look at it. You might want to take a look at just some of the pictures just to get a feel for what kind of a listing this might be or what kind of a deal this might be. And let's analyze this really, really quick, okay? Just so that you understand how I chop a deal up. Now, this property is older. It needs to be remodeled. It needs to be rehabbed, okay? Now, in this particular case, I can almost guarantee you that by you offering them 70 cents on the dollar, they're probably not going to take that kind of an offer for this property because the property isn't a massive fixer-upper. The property isn't some type of a teardown. They're still, I would imagine that they're probably still living in it. I can't tell without reading the comments, but the property isn't in bad shape and it's not completely rehabbed. This is one of those properties that is probably in the middle. It's in the middle, okay? Now, these in the middle properties, going back to what I said earlier about having multiple exit strategies as an investor, you are an investor. This property, in my opinion, just looking at it off the top of my head, would probably be the ones where I would work this as a novation. So I would speak to the seller. I would make them the best offer that I possibly could based on novation formula. And the novation formula that I like to use, and I've seen some of the other your veterans like to use, is 90% of whatever the retail value is, minus about $30,000 or minus $40,000 to cover any possible repairs, to cover paying an agent a commission, and to cover your assignment fees and your closing costs, okay? So those 4 items. So that's what you would do. If I was to approach this one, I can almost guarantee that based on its condition, they're not going to sell it to me. Even though it needs to be remodeled and rehab, it is still, just based on some of these photos, still pretty livable. This is pretty livable. So it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't need to be completely rehabbed. And so I think one of the best way to handle this one would be a novation strategy. You find out the 90% of whatever the retail value is, and then you subtract $30,000 or $40,000 to cover that cost, to cover that expense. Okay, so seller or agent. In this particular case, if I'm reading your question right, in this particular case, I'm going directly to for sale by owners, not to agents, okay? So this would be one that I would approach as a novation. So I've got one there. I'm going to move on to the next one. Here we got another one, and this one looks like it's going to be very similar, right? It still needs to be remodeled, but you'd be lying to yourself if you were to say that somebody can't live in this property and remodel it as they live in it. So I would probably do the exact same thing. I would use a novation strategy on this one. I'm not going to scroll down because I don't want their telephone number to show, but then I would just give them a call and I would, talk to them about selling the property. What would my script sound like if I was using some type of a novation strategy? Hi, John or Jane. Listen, my name is Paul. I'm calling about your property at, in this case on Jefferson Street, and I'm going to say, are you the owner? Now, you'd be surprised. Sometimes you will hear responses like, well, no, I'm the realtor that's actually helping the owner, or I'm a friend of the owner. You hear a lot of different things. Hopefully you'll hear, yes, I am the owner. Okay, great. What can you tell me about the property? Go right into that question when you're talking to for sale by owners. What can you tell me about the property? And then they'll tell you, they're like, well, it's this, it's that, here's the price I'm looking for. Okay, great. And so now you're extracting information from them. I didn't really want this training to go into that deep. only because I'm going to get going in about 5-10 minutes. But have a script ready. If you need a Novation script, DM me and we can go over the strategy and the script that I would use. But the formula that I would use on any type of innovation is always going to be 90% of whatever the retail value is minus $40,000 to cover any commissions that we have to pay agents, any repairs that we might have to do that come up, and they do come up. Closing costs, I just had an innovation deal that we did over in Florida, where the buyer asked for closing costs. So we had to pay a buyer's agent's commission of 3%, and then we had to pay 3% closing costs to the buyer that purchased the property, and they found our deal on the MLS through Novations. That seller worked with us and gave us the authorization to hire and fire a listing agent and put it on the MLS. Okay, so that's one way that you're going to be able to find sellers. All right, so let's look at this, right? 4.3 million. This is an amazing house, an amazing house. Now, I will tell you, though, that there aren't that many multi-million-dollar single-family buyers, okay? There aren't that many. Yes, are there people that would buy this house? Yes. Does it make it much more difficult for you to sell a house like this if you're going to try to use any of your strategies as an investor? You're an investor. Does it make it more difficult for you to use any of your exit strategies to sell a $4.3 million property? You better believe it, okay? So sometimes people bring these opportunities to me and I tell them, look, this is a great house. I love the house. I love the opportunity, but you're going to have a difficult time getting an end buyer in there unless you get it at an absolute smoking deal. And most of the time, you're not going to get these multi-million-dollar homes, depending on its condition, right? I can't tell if that's a rendering or if it's a, yeah, you know, I'm not sure about this one, but I want to put that out there because sometimes people, you know, ask me about single-family residences that are in the millions, and again, unless you get it at like a ridiculously, stupidly good price, and I'm talking like 30 to 50 cents on the dollar, not 70 cents, 30 to 50 cents, and typically those people that have those types of homes are going to be way more savvy than to give you a 30 cents to 50 cents on the dollar discount on it. Okay, so let's go back now. Next one, 148,000, same thing. If you're looking at this, all right, cool. So this is a good one. Okay. This one clearly is a property that they started construction on, but they didn't necessarily finish it. So we're going to scroll down. Let's take a look at the property history. This one they put up for sale in October for $159. Now it's at $149. We're at $139, and then they've reduced it to $148. So they're playing that same type of game. So I would call this one, and this is probably one that I would use as an assignment strategy. Okay, this is one where we're going to come in and we're going to estimate the repairs, and then we're going to try to get it as a fix and flip, either to purchase or to assign to somebody else. This is a perfect example of that. Okay, so first place that you can get this is off of Zillow by using the for sale by owners. If you want access to this spreadsheet that we created, all you got to do is go to Zillow.dispodragons.com, Zillow.dispodragons.com. If you go to Zillow, oh, that was good. What happened here? Zillow.dispodragons. I put 2 dots. That's what happened. .com. It'll take you to PayPal, and it's $10. Come on, guys. For $10, give me a break. You got a spreadsheet that's already made for you. It does all the work for you. All you got to do is click it, and it's done. And then you can have access to, you know, any state, with all of these key phrases and all of these key search terms that any investor would like or have or need. Okay. All right. Now, next thing is Facebook Marketplace. Okay, so I'm going to teach you real quick how to use Facebook Marketplace so that you could find seller leads as well. Now, I want to preface this with the fact that on Facebook Marketplace there are a lot of other investors and wholesalers that are doing the exact same thing. There are a lot of real estate agents that are promoting their own listings. They're promoting other people's listings. They're trying to get business too. Don't hate on them for doing what they're supposed supposed to be doing, which is going out there and trying to get business. So just be aware of that, be prepared for that. And one of the questions that I will always ask people when I am working, Facebook Marketplace, looking for opportunities and looking for deals, my very first question is this still available? The second question is going to be, are you the listing agent or are you the owner? Now, what that does is it clarifies really, really quickly. And they'll tell you I'm the agent, or they'll tell you I'm the owner, or they'll say, I am a wholesaler. Right there we go, using that title again, which I don't like. I'd rather you call yourself an investor. Or they'll say, I have an assignable interest in this contract, in this property in the form of a contract. Or they'll say, I'm assigning the rights to this contract. Or they'll say, I'm helping the seller sell the property, whatever it is. But you can tell right away, they're either the owner, a realtor, or a wholesaler. It's usually those three, right? Or an investor. Sorry, I just went back on what I said I was going to do. So let's go down now. I'm checking the comments real quick. All right, both YouTube and Instagram. So you come down, you scroll down to Marketplace. I'm going to show you really quickly how to do this, and then I am going to call it a day. Now we're going to come here, we're going to browse, you're going to search Marketplace. I like looking up the phrase fixer, upper house. That is something that I really like doing. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. And then you're going to pick a spot. So what I would do is whatever market you're going to be, pick it. So let's just say, for instance, I want Ocala, Florida. Okay, I like that market. And 40 miles is pretty big. Let's just keep it within 20 miles. You click apply. Now you're going to see all the houses that pop up that are fixer-uppers. Okay. Now, you could also set I would set some type of a price range. There's a lot of people that sell deals that are, $15,000 or less, which is fine. You could still make $1,500, $2,500 doing that in this business. I tend to set a minimum of no less than $20,000, and then a max. Again, going back to what I said earlier, if you start dealing with properties that are in the millions, you're going to have a challenging time getting those properties sold. So what I would do is probably set a max. I know Ocala, and typically the fix and flip opportunities are going to be anywhere between 150 to like 250, maybe 300,000. So I'll put 300,000. I didn't really go into multifamily tonight, and I'm not going to. We'll do that at another time. So now that that's done, hopefully it sets the filters, and now I'm going to see the types of properties that are available. Okay, so now I'm going to click on this. You've got a pretty good description. And again, it's very simple. I'm just going to send this message, okay? I'm not going to sit here and overthink this. That's another thing that a lot of people do, is they tend to overthink this. They want to analyze the deal. They want to read the comments. They want to see who's posting. They want to look at the poster's profile. And when I say a lot of people, really what I'm doing is I'm referring to myself. I've made all these mistakes. And again, this is a time waster. This is a time sucker. You don't want to be doing that, especially for those of you who are building this around existing jobs, professions, occupations. Ignore the screaming in the back. We're going to have our family dinner in a little bit. So my point is that you don't need to review all of this. It's simple. You just go in there and you press send. Send it out. Okay. Now, if you haven't been doing this for a while and you're just barely starting to do this, be prepared. Okay. That if you send out too many in a day, Facebook could have put a restriction on your ability to send out these messages. So I would start slow, and I would slowly work my way up. So on your first day, maybe what you're going to want to do is you're going to want, oh, did I close it? On your first day, you're going to want to try to send out, 15 to 20. Okay, 15 to 20 is pretty good. And then you slowly increase it. What happened here? Let's go back to Marketplace. I logged myself out, fixer upper house. Okay, so now I set the price range again. I think I set personally, again, that's just my preference. I'll put 350 this time. And enter. And now I'll see the fixer upper houses that qualify for that. Here's another one, 43,000. Chances are this is a mobile home, so I'm going to just press send. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to go out and I'm going to send these out. Okay? Let's go out. I'm going to send out another one, and I'm going to send out another one, and I'm going to send out another one. So I will send these out, and then what I will be doing is over the next few days or day, depending on how quickly people respond to me, I will then slowly start working with them, and I will respond to them back. And my next question to all of them, after they say it's available, is very simply going to be, are you the owner or are you the agent? And then I wait and see how they respond. And then based on that, I'm going to start prospecting them. This is one of the easiest and freest ways for you as a brand new person to be able to search for opportunities. The key here is the consistency in which you do it. That's the key, is doing this every single day. And we talked about this earlier. We talked about your schedule and how you have to honor that schedule and why it is that you have to do this, even if it's a little bit every single day, versus you not doing anything during the week and then trying to play catch up, doing 8 hours in one day, right, on a Saturday. It doesn't work. That's like the person that never goes to the gym. There we go. We got a response. Great. All right. Good evening. Yes, it is. Let me zoom in real quick just so that you can see this. Are you the agent or the owner? All right. And I have a feeling that Colleen might be the agent. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see how this plays out. Now, in the meantime, while I give her an opportunity to respond, I do want to remind everybody that all of this stuff I cover, by the way, if you go to dove.dispodragons.com, dove.dispodragons.com, it will take you to Amazon where you can pick up my book that I wrote, Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. Okay, Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. How to invest in real estate by wholesaling. Again, I say that a lot. You are an investor first, okay? And this is a book, and we have it for sale, and we also have it for Audible. Now, I said it earlier today, but if you purchase the book and you send me a picture of you with the book, or you go on social media and you tag yourself or tag us at Dispo Dragons with the book, I will send you a code for the free Audible version of it. And I got a very, very talented young man as a voice actor to do the audio portion for me, because I don't really have that kind of personality. His name is Tim Alexander, and he did a phenomenal job. You can listen to the sample of it there, okay? So Colleen just messaged me back. I am brokering. I work for the community. Okay, so I don't know what that means, but if she's saying brokering, then this must mean for the community. This is probably a mobile home, which is what she's talking about. Now, when it comes to mobile homes, okay, so here I'm going to ask her some questions. And again, I didn't want to go this way into a full-blown training on like how to do any specific niche of properties, but I'm then going to say, I'm assuming it's a mobile home. Is there or what is the land lease? The monthly land lease. Can you wholesale a mobile home or a manufactured home that is on leased land? Yes, you can. It is much more difficult, though, because in most of these communities, you have to get the approval. So the best way to do it would be to do a double close as opposed to doing a direct assignment. So you close, and then you have your buyer in waiting, and then you do another close. But these are these aren't that simple. Again, I'm not going to go into all the details on how to do manufactured homes or mobile homes if you're going to wholesale or sign them, or if you're going to purchase them or flip them. But there are some very, very good people in our space, in our community, that have gotten really good at purchasing mobile homes, fixing them up, and then selling them. So anyway, I just went over tonight how to go out and find deals, for yourself. If you need anything, please let me know. If you ever need a second set of eyes to just take a look at a deal for you, if you're looking to JV or if you're looking to mentor, keep us in mind as well. And if you have a deal that you want promoted, we can blast it out for you. $606 a month includes water, sewer, trash, and amenities. Okay, so she's obviously engaging in conversations. You just have to get good at learning how to ask that questions. I'll carry this training on a little bit later. I have a family dinner that I have to get to. I hope this is helping you guys out. Again, I've committed myself that I'm going to do this at least once a day. And if I can do it twice a day, I'm going to do one in the morning and one in the evening. And we are going to create a tidal wave of investors who use wholesaling as an exit strategy, one of their many exit strategies to have success. Thanks, you guys. I'm going to get out of here. Have a great night.